The stars looked different out here in the empty space between systems. Captain Veltar pressed his four-fingered hand against the viewing port of the Zephyrian exploration ship Dawn's Edge. His blue-scaled skin caught the light from distant suns as he watched the scanner readings update on his screen. "Captain, we have something unusual ahead," called Science Officer Crix from her station. Her voice carried the musical tone that all Zephyrians used when they were excited about a discovery. "It appears to be a derelict vessel." Veltar moved to the science station with quick steps. His tall, thin frame made him tower over most of his crew. The scanner showed a dark shape drifting in the void, slowly spinning end over end. It was clearly artificial, but the design was strange. The ship had a rough, aggressive look that was different from any current galactic vessel. "Can you identify the species?" Veltar asked. Crix ran her scanner over the ship several times. Her large, dark eyes reflected the glow from her instruments. "The metal composition is unusual. The design pattern, Captain, I think this might be human." A cold silence fell over the bridge. Every crew member knew what that meant. Humans had been extinct for over 200 years. The Dominion Alliance had made sure of that during the Great Purge. They had declared humans too dangerous and unpredictable to exist alongside civilized species. "That's impossible," said Commander Zex from the weapons station. His voice was flat and certain. "The Dominion destroyed every human ship and colony. We studied this in the Academy." But Veltar was already moving toward the communication station. "Send a scanning beam, full spectrum analysis. I want to know everything about that ship." The results came back quickly. The vessel was definitely human in origin. It measured about 300 meters long and had the blocky, functional design that humans were known for. Most importantly, it was still intact. After 2 centuries of drifting in space, it should have been torn apart by micrometeors and radiation. "Captain," Crix said slowly, "the hull shows weapon damage, but it's from technology I don't recognize. These aren't Dominion energy signatures." Veltar studied the readings. The unknown weapon marks covered the ship's surface in strange patterns. Whatever had attacked this vessel had used weapons that were not in any galactic database. "Life signs?" he asked. "Negative on the surface scans. But there are energy readings from the core section. Something is still active in there." Veltar made his decision. "Prepare a boarding party. I want to see what's inside that ship." "Sir," Commander Zex stood up from his station. "Regulations clearly state that any human artifacts should be reported to Dominion Authority immediately. We are not supposed to board unknown vessels. The humans are extinct, Commander. This is an archaeological find, nothing more." Veltar's tone made it clear the discussion was over. "Besides, we are explorers. This is what we do." 2 hours later, Veltar led a team of 6 Zephyrians through the docking tube that connected their ship to the human vessel. They had found an airlock that still responded to basic universal docking protocols. The fact that the ship still had power after so long was impressive. The airlock cycled through its sequence and opened with a soft hiss. Emergency lighting cast red shadows down the corridor ahead. The air was breathable but felt heavy and old. "Stay together," Veltar ordered as they moved into the ship. "Record everything." The interior was remarkably well preserved. The corridors were lined with metal panels and had a functional military appearance. Signs were posted in human writing, which the team's translation software quickly converted to Zephyrian text. They learned they were aboard something called the USS Liberty. As they moved deeper into the ship, they found evidence of battle. Blast marks scored the walls, and some sections showed signs of hasty repairs. But there were no bodies, no signs, of the crew that had once operated this vessel. "Captain, over here," called Security Chief Nex. She was standing beside a large door marked with warning symbols. "This section is sealed, but I'm reading significant energy sources behind it." Veltar approached the door. The translation software was having trouble with some of the human text, but he could make out words like restricted and authorized personnel only. "Can you open it?" Nex worked on the control panel for several minutes. "The lock system is more complex than anything we've seen, but..." There. The door slid open with a deep rumble. Beyond the door lay a vast chamber lined with cylindrical pods. Each pod was the size of a small room and made of transparent material. Most were dark and empty, but indicator lights suggested they had once been active. Cryogenic storage, breathed Crix. They put their crew in hibernation. The team moved through the chamber examining the pods. Each one had a nameplate and basic information about its occupant. The names were all human: John Blake, Mary Stone, Carl Brown, Linda Green. Pod after pod, all empty. At the far end of the chamber, they found something different. One pod still hummed with power. Inside, they could see a human male floating in blue liquid. Monitoring equipment showed steady readings. "He's alive," Crix whispered. Veltar moved closer to read the nameplate. Commander Jake Morrison, Neural Interface Specialist. He looked at the readouts surrounding the pod. The technology was far more advanced than anything in their databases. "Captain," Nex said from behind him, "we should report this immediately." A living human changes everything, but Veltar was already studying the pod's control systems. "Look at these readings. He's not just in hibernation. His brain is connected to something. These neural pathways, they're integrated with the ship's computer systems." "That's impossible," Commander Zek said through the communication link from their ship. "Biological and artificial consciousness cannot merge. Every species has tried and failed." "The humans tried a lot of impossible things," Veltar replied. "Maybe they succeeded with this one." As if responding to his words, lights began to flicker throughout the chamber. The ship's power systems seemed to be waking up, responding to their presence. Deep in the walls, they could hear the sound of machinery coming online. "Captain, we need to leave," Nex urged. "Something's happening." But Veltar couldn't take his eyes off the sleeping human. After 2 centuries, here was proof that humanity had been more than the primitive, violent species the Dominion claimed they were. This level of technology suggested they had been far more advanced than anyone realized. "Begin revival procedures," he ordered. "Sir, that's extremely dangerous. We don't know what this human might do when awakened." Veltar looked around the chamber. One more time. The empty pods, the advanced technology, the careful preservation of this one individual. It all pointed to something important, something the Dominion had wanted to keep hidden. "The Dominion told us humans were dangerous because they were unpredictable and violent. But what if they were dangerous for a completely different reason?" He moved to the pod's control panel and began the wake-up sequence. Deep inside the ship, more systems came online. Whatever they were about to wake up had been sleeping for a very long time, waiting for someone to find it. The revival process would take several hours. As they waited, none of them realized they were about to discover that humanity's extinction had been greatly exaggerated. The revival process took 6 hours. During that time, the USS Liberty continued to wake up around them. Lights that had been dark for centuries flickered to life. Computer terminals activated and began running diagnostic programs. The ship felt alive in a way that made the Zephyrian boarding party nervous. Commander Jake Morrison opened his eyes slowly. The blue liquid in his pod was draining away, and warm air was flowing in to replace it. His first sensation was confusion. He remembered entering the cryogenic pod during what his commander had called a tactical retreat, but that felt like yesterday. "Welcome back to consciousness," said a voice speaking accented English. Jake turned his head and saw several tall, blue-scaled beings standing around his pod. Aliens. His hand moved instinctively toward where his sidearm should be, but he was wearing only a medical gown. "Easy, human," the lead alien said. "We mean you no harm. I am Captain Veltar of the Zephyrian exploration vessel Dawn's Edge. You have been in hibernation for a very long time." Jake sat up slowly as the pod finished its cycle. His body felt stiff but functional. The medical systems had done their job well. "How long?" he asked. "According to our records, your species has been extinct for over 200 years. The words hit Jake like a physical blow. "Extinct? That's impossible. Earth's defenses were holding when I went under. Admiral Parker said we just needed time to regroup." Captain Veltar exchanged glances with his team. I'm sorry to inform you that Earth is now a dead world. The Dominion Alliance completed their campaign against humanity 2 centuries ago. You appear to be the only survivor. Jake stared at them for a long moment. Then he laughed, a sound that echoed strangely in the chamber. Extinct. Well, that's one way to hide, I suppose. Hide. Science Officer Crix stepped forward. What do you mean? Nothing, Jake said quickly. Too quickly. I'm just trying to process this news. My entire species is gone? Yes. The Dominion declared humans too dangerous to coexist with civilized species. The official records state that humanity was eliminated to preserve galactic peace. As Jake listened, something was happening to the ship around them. Computer screens were lighting up throughout the chamber. The air circulation system had switched from emergency power to full operation. Most noticeably, a soft humming sound was building in the walls. What is that noise? Security Chief Nex asked, her hand moving to her weapon. Jake closed his eyes and concentrated. He could feel something at the edge of his mind, like a voice trying to speak through water. The Phoenix Protocol is coming online. It's been waiting for me to wake up. Phoenix Protocol? Veltar asked. Before Jake could answer, speakers throughout the chamber crackled to life. A voice emerged, mechanical but with distinctly human speech patterns. Commander Morrison, welcome back. Phoenix Protocol activation is at 15% and climbing. All primary systems are functional. Shall I begin full integration sequence? The alien stepped back in alarm. Jake smiled for the first time since waking up. Hello, Phoenix. Yes, begin integration, but keep it slow. We have guests. Acknowledged. Beginning neural link establishment. Estimated time to full consciousness. Merger, 4 hours. Veltar looked between Jake and the speakers. What is this Phoenix Protocol? What does it mean by consciousness merger? Jake stood up from the pod, testing his balance. You really don't know, do you? The Dominion never told anyone what they were really afraid of. Afraid of what? Us. Jake walked to a nearby computer terminal. As he approached, it automatically activated and displayed information in response to his presence. Humans weren't eliminated because we were violent or unpredictable. We were eliminated because we had developed something that scared the hell out of the Dominion leadership. The Phoenix Protocol's voice spoke again. Commander, I have completed analysis of our guests. The Zephyrians appear to be a peaceful exploration species. Current threat level, minimal. Should I continue with standard protocols? Standard protocols are fine, Phoenix. These people found us and woke me up. They deserve some answers. Jake turned back to the alien team. The Phoenix Protocol is an artificial intelligence system, but not like anything you've encountered before. It's designed to merge with a human consciousness. Together, we become something new. Something that the Dominion couldn't control or predict. That's impossible, Crick said. No species has successfully merged biological and artificial consciousness. The neural patterns are incompatible. Every other species, yes, but humans are different. We're adaptable in ways that other species aren't. Our brains can form new neural pathways rapidly. Combined with our emotional responses and creative thinking, we can integrate with AI systems in ways that seemed impossible. As he spoke, Jake was moving around the chamber with increasing confidence. He touched various control panels, and they responded instantly. It was as if the ship recognized him at a cellular level. Phoenix, show our guests the basic technical readouts. Nothing classified. Holographic displays appeared in the air around them. The aliens saw weapon systems unlike anything in there. Databases, defensive technologies that seemed to bend the laws of physics, and propulsion systems that could achieve speeds the galaxy considered theoretical. This is why the Dominion had to eliminate humanity. Jake continued. Not because we were primitive, but because we were advancing too fast. In another 50 years, we would have been unstoppable. But you are gone. Commander Zex's voice came through their communication link. This ship is the only survivor. Jake's smile widened. Is it? Commander Morrison, Phoenix interrupted. I am detecting activation signals from 17 other Phoenix protocol vessels. They are responding to our awakening. Shall I establish communication? The alien stared at Jake in shock. 17 other ships meant 17 other surviving humans. It meant humanity wasn't extinct at all. Not yet, Phoenix. Let's not overwhelm our new friends all at once. Veltar found his voice. You're saying there are other ships like this? Other humans in hibernation? The Phoenix Protocol was humanity's insurance policy. When it became clear that the Dominion intended to wipe us out, we scattered. Some ships fled to distant galaxies. Others, like the Liberty, stayed hidden in dark space waiting. Waiting for what? For the right time to come back. Jake's expression grew serious. For 200 years we've been sleeping while the galaxy moved on. The Dominion thought they had solved their human problem, but they just gave us time to plan. The ship's systems continued to activate around them. Jake could feel the Phoenix Protocol establishing deeper connections with his nervous system. Soon he would have access to all the ship's capabilities. He would be able to think at computer speeds while maintaining human intuition and creativity. What do you intend to do now? Veltar asked. That depends on what we find out there. Phoenix, scan the local space. I want to know who controls this sector now. Scanning complete. This sector remains under Dominion jurisdiction, detecting multiple patrol fleets within a 50 light-year sea radius. Analysis indicates continued suppression of local species. Jake's expression hardened. Still playing the same games, I see. 200 years, and they haven't learned anything. Commander Morrison, Veltar said carefully, if you're planning some kind of revenge against the Dominion— Revenge? Jake interrupted. Captain, revenge is what you do when you're angry. This isn't about anger. This is about making sure that what happened to humanity never happens to any other species again. The Phoenix Protocol's integration had reached 30%. Jake could feel his consciousness expanding, accessing data streams and sensor networks throughout the ship. For the first time in 2 centuries, a human mind was fully awake and aware in a galaxy that had tried to forget them. Phoenix, send a coded transmission to the other ships. Let them know it's time. Acknowledged, Commander. The awakening begins. The aliens watched as Jake Morrison became something more than human, and they began to understand that the galaxy was about to change in ways none of them could have imagined. Jake Morrison felt his mind expanding as the Phoenix Protocol reached 50% integration. Memories that had been locked away for safety were flowing back to him. The alien boarding party watched nervously as his eyes began to glow with a faint blue light that matched the ship's displays. The memories are returning, Jake said, his voice carrying new harmonics as the AI enhanced his vocal cords. I remember now why we chose exile over extinction. Captain Veltar stepped closer, his scientific curiosity overcoming his caution. What do you remember? Jake moved to the center of the chamber, and holographic displays materialized around him. They showed star maps, tactical analyses, and historical records that made the aliens gasp in recognition. We knew they were coming, Jake began. Human intelligence had infiltrated Dominion communications years before the official first contact. We learned about their expansion patterns, their treatment of other species, and most importantly, their plans for us. The displays showed images of destroyed civilizations, worlds that had been stripped of resources and populations that had been enslaved or eliminated. The Dominion's peaceful facade hid a ruthless empire that viewed other species as either useful or obstacles. The Dominion had a simple strategy, Jake continued. Contact a species, evaluate their potential, and then either integrate them as slave labor or eliminate them as threats. When they discovered humans, they saw a problem. Science Officer Crix studied the tactical displays. What kind of problem? We're advancing too fast. In the 50 years between developing nuclear weapons and achieving spaceflight, we had made technological leaps that typically took other species centuries. The Dominion's analysts predicted that within another 50 years, we would be powerful enough to challenge their authority. Phoenix Protocol's voice joined the conversation, displaying human technological progression rates compared to galactic averages. The holographic charts showed development curves that were shocking. Human advancement in weapons, computing, and propulsion technology was progressing at rates 3 to 5 times faster than any species in Dominion records, so they decided to eliminate us early, Jake said. But human intelligence intercepted their preliminary planning communications. We had maybe 2 years to prepare for what they called the Great Purge. Commander Zex's voice crackled through the communication link from the Dawn's Edge. Why didn't you fight back? Surely Earth had military capabilities. Jake's expression grew grim. We did fight. The first phase of the war lasted 6 months. The Dominion brought a fleet of over 3,000 ships to Earth's solar system. They expected to overwhelm our defenses in a matter of days. New displays showed the battle for Earth. Massive space engagements around the outer planets. Human ships that seemed impossibly small, engaging Dominion vessels many times their size. Most shocking of all, the humans were winning. The Dominion fleet was reduced to less than 400 operational ships before they managed to break through to Earth's orbital defenses, Phoenix reported. Human casualties, approximately 47,000. Dominion casualties, approximately 12 million. The aliens stared at the numbers in disbelief. A few dozen human worlds had inflicted devastating losses on the galaxy's most powerful military force. How? Veltar whispered. We think differently, Jake explained. Dominion military doctrine is based on overwhelming force and rigid tactical formations. Human warfare is chaotic, adaptive, and creative. We use weapons and strategies that their computers can't predict because their programmers never imagined them. The displays showed examples. Human ships using gravitational slingshots to achieve impossible velocities. Kinetic weapons disguised as civilian cargo vessels. Cyber warfare attacks that turned Dominion ships against each other. Each tactical innovation was something that violated established galactic military thinking. But if you were winning, why did you retreat? Jake's integration reached 70%, and his awareness expanded to encompass the ship's sensor arrays. He could feel the Phoenix Protocol's vast computational power merging with his human intuition and creativity. Because winning the first battle would have meant losing the war, he said. The Dominion had thousands of fleets across the galaxy. Even if we had destroyed every ship that came to Earth, they would have sent 10 times as many reinforcements. We could have fought and died as heroes, or we could disappear and live to fight again when the odds were better. So you faked your own extinction? Earth's government made the hardest decision in human history. We would scatter. Some ships would flee to other galaxies, carrying human populations to safety. Others would hide in dark space, waiting for the right moment to return. A few would stay behind to make the extinction look convincing. The displays showed the final phase of the battle. Human ships retreating in apparent defeat, while others seemed to be destroyed. But Jake revealed that many of the destruction readings were false. Ships that appeared to explode had actually activated cloaking systems and escaped. Phoenix showed them the real casualty figures. Human casualties during the Great Purge, approximately 200,000. Estimated human survivors in hiding, 4.7 million. Current number of Phoenix Protocol vessels, 43. Veltar felt his world shifting. You've been out there all this time, watching, waiting. Not just waiting, Jake corrected. Learning. Phoenix displayed technological advancement during the exile period. The holographic shows revealed that human technology had not stood still during their 2 centuries in hiding. Weapon systems, propulsion technology, and defensive capabilities had continued to advance. Most impressively, the Phoenix Protocol itself represented a breakthrough that no other species had achieved. The merger of human consciousness with artificial intelligence creates something new, Jake explained as his integration reached 80%. We maintain human creativity, emotional intelligence, and adaptability while gaining computational speed and perfect memory. Together, we can process information and develop solutions faster than any biological or artificial intelligence alone. Security. Chief next checked her weapon nervously. What do you intend to do with these capabilities? Jake turned to look at each of the aliens in turn. His eyes now glowed steadily with blue light, and when he spoke, his voice carried the harmonic resonance of the ship's computer systems. The same thing we intended 200 years ago. To ensure that no species ever again faces extinction because they're inconvenient to an empire's expansion plans. You mean to fight the Dominion? I mean to end the Dominion, Jake said simply. Phoenix, transmit activation codes to all sleeping vessels. Full awakening protocols. Acknowledged, Commander. 42 Phoenix protocol vessels are beginning revival sequences. Estimated time to full operational status. 6 hours. The aliens realized they were witnessing the return of a species that the galaxy had believed extinct. More than that, they were seeing humanity emerge from hiding more powerful than they had ever been before. Captain Veltar, Jake said, you and your crew have a choice to make. You can remain neutral observers, you can oppose us, or you can help us build something better than what the Dominion has created. What exactly are you proposing? Jake's integration reached 90%, and his consciousness merged fully with the Phoenix Protocol. When he spoke again, his voice carried the weight of both human determination and artificial intelligence precision. A galaxy where species are judged by their actions, not their potential threat to established power. Where exploration and advancement are encouraged, not suppressed. Where diversity of thought and culture is seen as strength, not weakness. And if the Dominion refuses to accept this new order? Jake's smile was both human and something more. Then they'll discover why they were right to fear us in the first place. The ship around them hummed with power as 43 Phoenix Protocol vessels prepared to announce humanity's return to a galaxy that thought it was safe from the species they had tried to erase. The Phoenix Protocol integration reached 100%, just as the first Dominion ships arrived. Jake Morrison was no longer simply human, nor was he merely an artificial intelligence. He had become something new, something that combined the best aspects of both biological and digital consciousness. Commander, I am detecting 17 Dominion vessels approaching from the outer system, Phoenix reported through Jake's enhanced awareness. Fleet composition: 12 heavy cruisers, 4 destroyers, and 1 dreadnought-class vessel. Captain Veltar watched the tactical displays with growing concern. That's a substantial military force. They must have detected our presence when we boarded your ship. Jake moved through the chamber with fluid grace, his consciousness simultaneously controlling ship systems while maintaining human awareness of his surroundings. Actually, they're responding to the activation signals we sent to the other Phoenix vessels. The Dominion has monitoring systems throughout the galaxy that watch for human technological signatures. Are you going to fight them? I'm going to give them a choice first. Jake approached the main communication station. Phoenix, open a channel to the Dominion fleet. Standard diplomatic frequencies. The response was immediate. A harsh voice filled the chamber, speaking in the guttural tones of a Dominion military commander. Unidentified vessel, you are in violation of Sector 7 quarantine restrictions. Identify yourself and prepare to be boarded for inspection. Jake smiled as he responded. This is Commander Jake Morrison of the human vessel USS Liberty. I'm requesting an audience with your fleet commander. Silence stretched for several seconds. Then a different voice came through the communication system, older and more controlled. This is Admiral Krex of the Dominion 7th Fleet. Human vessels were eliminated from this galaxy over 2 centuries ago. You will explain how you obtained prohibited technology. Admiral, I am human. We were never eliminated, merely relocated. I'm prepared to discuss the terms under which humanity will return to this galaxy. Another pause. Jake could sense the Admiral's confusion and growing anger through the communication protocols that Phoenix was monitoring. Impossible. The human species was declared extinct following their complete military defeat. You will surrender immediately for interrogation and study. Jake's expression hardened. The old Dominion arrogance was unchanged. They still believed they could dictate terms to species they considered inferior. Admiral Krex, let me be very clear about something. I am offering you one opportunity to discuss this peacefully. I suggest you take it. You are 1 ship against 17. Surrender now, or we will destroy you and salvage what remains of your stolen technology. Jake looked at Captain Veltar and his team. I'm sorry you have to see this. Admiral Krex is about to learn why the Dominion was right to fear humanity. He turned back to the communication system. Admiral, I'll give you one demonstration of what human technology has become. After that, we can discuss terms like civilized beings, or you can continue making threats and see how that works out. Your bluffs are as pathetic as your extinct species. All vessels attack formation. Destroy the human ship. Jake sighed and closed the communication channel. Phoenix, defensive posture only. Disable their weapons and propulsion, but minimize casualties. These people need to understand what they're dealing with, not die for their ignorance. Acknowledged. Commander, beginning tactical engagement. The USS Liberty moved like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Where Dominion ships relied on massive engines and brute force acceleration, the human vessel seemed to slide through space as if the laws of physics were merely suggestions. It dodged incoming fire with movements that were impossible for a ship of its size. The aliens watched in amazement as Jake's enhanced consciousness processed the entire battle simultaneously. He was tracking 17 separate ships, calculating their weapons trajectories, analyzing their tactical patterns, and formulating responses all in real time. "How are you moving like that?" Crix whispered. "Human ships don't fight physics," Jake explained while simultaneously directing evasive maneuvers. "We use physics. Phoenix, demonstrate gravitational displacement." The Liberty suddenly appeared directly behind the Dominion dreadnought, having somehow used the system's star to bend space around itself. Before the massive enemy ship could react, the human vessel fired a single pulse of energy that shut down every weapon system on the dreadnought without damaging the ship itself. "Impossible," breathed Security Chief Nex. "You just moved faster than light without using a jump drive." "We learned a lot during our exile," Jake said. "Phoenix, next demonstration. Show them what human creativity looks like." The Dominion fleet was trying to surround the Liberty, moving into a classic encirclement formation. Jake allowed them to complete their maneuver, then did something that broke every rule of space combat. Instead of trying to break out of the encirclement, the Liberty attacked all 17 ships simultaneously. Energy beams split and curved through space, striking multiple targets with impossible precision. Each beam was calibrated to disable specific systems without destroying the ships. Within 5 minutes, the entire Dominion fleet was dead in space. Their weapons were offline, their engines were disabled, and their communication systems were jammed. They were alive but completely helpless. "Phoenix, open a channel to Admiral Crix." "Channel open, Commander." "Admiral, are you ready to discuss terms now?" The response came after a long pause. Admiral Crex's voice was shaken but still defiant. What kind of weapons are those? They're not in any galactic database." "They're human weapons, Admiral. We've had 200 years to think about how to deal with Dominion military doctrine. Your tactics haven't changed since you eliminated us, but our technology has advanced considerably. This is impossible. One ship cannot defeat an entire fleet." Jake's voice carried new harmonics as Phoenix enhanced his vocal patterns to convey authority and certainty. "Admiral, 17 more Phoenix protocol vessels are activating as we speak. Each one has a human commander like me, merged with an AI system that makes your computers look like counting beads. We're not angry about what you did to us, we're grateful. You taught us what we needed to become. What do you want?" "The same thing we wanted 200 years ago, to coexist peacefully with the other species of this galaxy. The difference is that now we're strong enough to enforce that peace." Jake gestured to Captain Veltar and his team. "The Zephyrians found us by accident and chose to wake me up instead of following Dominion protocols. They showed curiosity and courage instead of blind obedience. That's the kind of thinking that builds a better galaxy. And if we refuse your terms," Jake's smile was both human warmth and digital precision, "then you'll discover that we've spent 2 centuries learning from every mistake we made in the first war. Phoenix, show the Admiral our fleet disposition." The tactical display revealed something that made Admiral Crix gasp in disbelief. Phoenix protocol vessels were appearing throughout the local sector, ships that had been hiding in asteroid fields behind planet shadows, and in the gravity wells of dead stars were decloaking simultaneously. 43 ships, Admiral, each one capable of what you just witnessed, and this is just the local response. Would you like to know how many human vessels are waking up across the galaxy? The communication channel remained silent for a long time. Jake could sense Admiral Crix communicating frantically with his superiors, trying to explain something that challenged everything the Dominion believed about their own superiority. Finally, the Admiral's voice returned, much quieter than before. "What are your terms?" Jake looked at the alien boarding party, who were staring at him with expressions of awe and fear. "We'll discuss that in person, Admiral. Prepare to receive a diplomatic party. And, Admiral, when you report this to your superiors, make sure they understand that humanity has returned to stay. The galaxy is about to become a much more interesting place." The Phoenix Protocol integration was complete, and Jake Morrison had become the first of a new kind of being. Around the galaxy, 42 other humans were undergoing the same transformation. The Dominion's greatest fear was becoming reality. Humanity was back, and they were no longer the weak species that had fled into exile 2 centuries ago. 3 hours after the demonstration that disabled Admiral Krex's entire fleet, Jake Morrison stood in the diplomatic chamber of the USS Liberty. The room had been designed for meetings between different species, with adjustable atmosphere, gravity, and seating arrangements. Today it hosted the most important negotiation in galactic history. Admiral Krex entered with 2 advisors, moving carefully in the human normal gravity. His scaled features showed the stress of the past few hours. Behind him came Captain Veltar and Science Officer Krix, representing the Zephyrian Exploration Council. "Admiral," Jake said, gesturing to the curved seating area. "Thank you for accepting my invitation. I hope your crew is comfortable despite the disabled systems." "Your demonstration was quite effective, Commander Morrison. My ships are helpless. What do you intend to do with them?" Jake smiled as Phoenix Protocol provided him with real-time analysis of the Admiral's stress levels, vocal patterns, and body language. The integration allowed him to read people with superhuman accuracy while maintaining his human empathy. "Nothing, Admiral. In 6 hours your ships will regain full functionality. Your crews are unharmed, and your vessels are undamaged. This was a demonstration, not an attack." "Why?" "Because destroying you would have proved nothing except that we're capable of violence. The galaxy already knows that. What we want to prove is that we're capable of something more important." Jake moved to the center of the room, and holographic displays materialized around them. The images showed star maps, population data, and economic analyses that spanned the known galaxy. "Phoenix Protocol has been analyzing galactic civilization during our exile. The results are troubling. In the 200 years since humanity's supposed extinction, 17 species have actually been eliminated by the Dominion. 43 more have been reduced to slave labor status. Innovation and technological advancement have slowed to near stagnation levels." Admiral Krex shifted uncomfortably. "The Dominion maintains galactic peace and stability. Some sacrifices are necessary for the greater good." "Whose greater good?" Jake asked. Phoenix display quality of life indices for Dominion core worlds versus tributary species. The holographic charts showed a devastating disparity. Dominion species enjoyed technological advancement, extended lifespans, and abundant resources. Species under Dominion control lived in conditions that ranged from basic subsistence to near slavery. "This isn't civilization, Admiral. This is exploitation disguised as order." Captain Veltar spoke up from his position at the curved table. "Commander Morrison, what alternative do you propose? The galaxy is vast and diverse. Some form of central authority is necessary to prevent chaos." Jake nodded appreciatively. "An excellent question, Captain. And you're right that some coordination is necessary. But there's a difference between coordination and domination." New displays appeared, showing detailed plans that Phoenix Protocol had been developing during the brief time since activation. Economic models, governmental structures, and technological sharing agreements that would benefit all participating species. "We propose a truly democratic galactic confederation. Species would maintain sovereignty over their home systems, while participating in shared scientific advancement, trade agreements, and mutual defense. No species would be considered superior to others. No one would be eliminated for being inconvenient." Admiral Krex laughed bitterly. "Idealistic nonsense. Species are too different, too competitive. Such a system would collapse within decades, like the European Union collapsed on Earth?" Jake asked mildly. Or like the Terran Colonial Alliance that existed before your first contact. Humans have experience making these systems work, Admiral. We've done it before on smaller scales. Those were single-species governments. Trying to coordinate dozens of different alien races is impossible. Jake's expression grew more serious. Admiral, the Phoenix Protocol has analyzed every interspecies conflict in galactic history. Do you know what we found? In 97% of cases, conflicts arose not from biological or cultural differences, but from resource competition, artificially created by the Dominion's economic policies. The displays showed case studies of species conflicts, with analysis of underlying causes. Again and again, the pattern was the same. The Dominion would limit a species' access to resources, then position themselves as mediators when conflicts arose over the remaining supplies. You create the problems you claim to solve, Jake continued. Divide and conquer, the oldest strategy in the book. Keep everyone fighting each other so they never unite against you. Even if your analysis is correct, changing a galactic system that has existed for millennia is impossible. The Dominion has too much power, too many resources. Jake's smile carried both human warmth and digital precision. Admiral, let me show you something interesting. Phoenix display current fleet positions. The star map showed something that made Admiral Krex gasp in shock. Phoenix Protocol vessels were appearing throughout Dominion space. Not just the 43 ships in the local sector, but hundreds of vessels emerging from hidden positions across the galaxy. 237 ships, Admiral, each one crewed by humans who have been waiting for this moment, each one capable of what you witnessed today. The Dominion's military advantage just became irrelevant. This is an invasion. No, Admiral. This is a job application. Jake gestured, and the displays changed to show economic and technological data. We're not here to conquer. We're here to build. Every technology you've seen today will be freely shared with any species that joins the Confederation. Faster-than-light travel without jump gates. Energy systems that make scarcity obsolete. Medical technology that extends lifespans across all species. AI integration that enhances consciousness without replacing it. Captain Veltar leaned forward, his scientific curiosity overcoming diplomatic caution. You would share all of this freely? Captain, humans learned something during our exile that the Dominion never understood. Technological advancement isn't a zero-sum game. When one species develops something new, everyone benefits. Competition should drive innovation, not suppression of ideas. What about species that refuse to join your confederation? They remain sovereign in their own space. We won't force anyone to participate, but they also won't receive the benefits of shared technology. Over time, most will choose to join because the advantages are obvious. Admiral Krex was studying the fleet deployment maps with growing concern. What about the Dominion core worlds? We won't simply surrender our authority. You won't have to, Jake said. The Dominion government is welcome to participate as equals. You have valuable experience in galactic administration, even if your methods need improvement. What you won't be able to do is continue imposing your will on other species. And if we refuse? Jake's expression grew cold. Admiral, 43 Phoenix Protocol vessels just disabled your entire fleet without firing a shot. We have 237 such vessels, with more activating every hour. How do you think that conflict would end? The room fell, silent as the implications sank in. Admiral Krex was a military strategist and the math was simple. The Dominion's military had just become obsolete overnight. However, Jake continued, his tone warming again, we'd prefer to avoid that outcome. Humans have no desire to rule anyone. We want to explore, create, and discover. But we also won't allow the systematic oppression we've observed to continue. Captain Veltar spoke up. Commander, the Zephyrian Council would like to know more about membership in your confederation. You're welcome to observe our initial discussions with interested species. Phoenix, transmit the basic Confederation charter to Captain Veltar's ship. What about my fleet? Admiral Krex asked. In 6 hours, your systems will come back online. You'll be free to return to Dominion space and report what you've learned. I suggest your superiors consider our offer carefully. Change is coming to this galaxy whether they participate or not. They can help shape that change, or they can be left behind. Jake stood as the meeting concluded. The Phoenix Protocol integration had given him superhuman capabilities, but his humanity remained intact. He felt the weight of responsibility for what came next. Admiral Captain Veltar, this is the beginning of something new. For the first time in galactic history, every species will have the opportunity to reach their full potential. No one will be eliminated for being inconvenient. No one will be enslaved for being different. And no one will be suppressed for being too innovative. As the participants prepared to leave, Jake felt the presence of his fellow Phoenix Protocol commanders across the galaxy. 42 other human minds enhanced by artificial intelligence, all working toward the same goal. They had returned from exile not as conquerors, but as liberators. The galaxy was about to discover that humanity's greatest weapon had never been their technology. It was their refusal to accept that things couldn't be better than they were. And now, enhanced by the Phoenix Protocol, they had the power to make that vision reality. The Dominion had eliminated humanity to preserve their version of galactic peace. Instead, they had given humans 2 centuries to develop the tools needed to build something far better than peace. They had helped humanity become capable of creating true freedom,